Inform your family and friends that you won't be able to see them for the next 4 months. College games have kicked off and the NFL is soon to consume us whole. We are depraved beings, and we need ways to amplify our pigskin fix. Good for us, DraftKings, the sponsor of this video, adds to our football high. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 on any game and receive $200 in bonus bets instantly. DraftKings Sportsbook offers you the ability to place wagers on every scenario imaginable. Think Philly will rush for over 100 yards this week? Go for it. Believe that Miami is due to be upset? Make it happen. Have a hunch that Pittsburgh will be going to the big game? Bold, but do it. Hell, put it all in a parlay to potentially up your earnings if it all happens. And don't forget about the daily fantasy games that DraftKings offers, especially if the sportsbook isn't available in your state. There's something for everyone. All new customers need to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the code UTREE and put just $5 on any bet to instantly get $200 in bonus bets. Now how's that for an official betting partner of the NFL? Pretty good, eh? Let's get to the video. My apologies to anyone who wants baseball or hockey content out of me. The football grind will consume me whole once again. In the endless quest for more money, the NFL is adding more frivolities that no one asked for. More double Monday night games. Exclusive games on streaming services. Thursday night flexing. Avast ye mateys, we sail the 7 seas of piracy again. There are also 16 teams in the NFC to go over. It's kind of a doozy. A nearly guaranteed divisional round loss awaits you in the future. It may be the same issues as before, but now it comes with a new facelift in several positions. Jerry Boy calls it maturing. But in Dallas, there are many pivotal questions that need to be considered. The first is Zach Martin. He is holding out, but he's vital to the offensive line. He'll be paid handsomely. Next is Trayvon Diggs, master of big interceptions and giving up big yardage to receivers. His intangibles are important, so he'll be paid handsomely as well. Tony Pollard will not be paid handsomely. But what about Dak? Jerry and the Cowboys may be running out of patience. He's a good quarterback, but can he really lead them anywhere? They had to learn a harsh lesson with Zeke, and if he doesn't evolve, he could be out of here after his contract expires. Dallas did bring in Trey Lance as a speculative lottery ticket. Dak better make sure boasting that he won't throw 10 interceptions comes true. And I don't mean 11 or more. Last year, the G-Man had nearly every single thing go right in their quest to return to relevance. The stench of free medium sodas and Joe Judge washed away under the running power of Saquon Barkley. For New York, the time has come to reward those that made them great. Sexy Dexy, Andrew Thomas, and Daniel Jones. Saquon, he'll get some pennies we found in the dryer. Ironically, he agreed to it after a running back Zoom meeting. Did they tell each other the position was fucked or something? Regardless, this should be a year of improvement. As long as Danny Derps proves he can throw the ball deep to receivers that can manage to catch the football for once. Darren Waller is an excellent addition as long as he's not limited to 5 games by injury. The hype is very real in Giants country, but can they capitalize on it? Not if the rest of their division has anything to say. Coming up short. It's a sting that tends to make a group hungrier than before. To get so close to the peak but just fall apart at the worst possible time. Not to mention suffering a metric ton of losses due to a cap crunch. However, these are the Eagles. They've never been ones to simply give up and die. They'll reload and bolster as needed to get back to the promised land. The NFC is feeble, and Jalen Hurts will be paid the big bucks to lead the way. Bringing in new weapons, the return of legends on the O-line, assembling Georgia's national championship front 7. Anything and everything will be done to get another Lombardi. Even shedding Derek Barnett because he wants more playing time. The future is here, and it's time for the rest of us to die. Especially their mortal enemies. It's like a massive toxic cloud has been lifted. No longer will we have to wonder what kind of embarrassment Washington will throw at our laps any given week. It wasn't the optimal ending, but Dan Snyder is officially gone. The evil can no longer hurt us. We are free. A long-needed new era in DC is beginning. One where the commies will probably change names again because they never trademarked the damn name. Does anyone even like Commanders? It's as bland and uninspiring as the team was last season. Hopefully they don't drink stupid juice and start Carson Wentz in a critical game again. Sam Howell, this is your show now. I mean, he was considered a top prospect back in the 2021 season. He looked okay against Dallas and in camp. That elite defense better be ready to haul ass because they're going to be what makes or breaks this team. Howell too, but I think we already know that. Bears fans sure have talked a lot of shit this offseason. You've accomplished absolutely nothing, yet apparently the end is here because you may have a QB for the first time since the Depression. Justin Fields has a lot of questions that need to be answered, especially in his accuracy, but he is an electrifying athlete, I'll give you that. He'll have plenty of weapons to play with as well, including newly acquired DJ Moore and a freshly extended Cole Kmet. And you'll love Chase Claypool until he frustrates the hell out of you in games. There is reason to be intrigued about the future, but pump the goddamn brakes! Let time dictate if Justin and the Bears are good or not. Besides, Fields isn't the thing that'll make or break your season. It's the O-line and front seven. Those positions are in a state of transition with free agents and picks. And they struggled big time last year. Yes, Justin's definitely going to be running for his life again. Remember, Bears, baby steps. Focus on those instead of one giant leap. It's a strange world when the Lions have legitimate hope. Not in the how did this poverty franchise get good way, but the holy shit it actually happened way. There have been countless times where it was extremely easy to write off the Lions just because of their namesake. No matter the talent on their roster, they'd find an incredible way to fuck it all up. That or the refs would fuck them in the ultimate fetish. This year, all signs should point to finally breaking through that impenetrable ceiling. Talent at nearly every position. Jared Goff returning to 2018 form, one of the best offensive lines in the game. However, you just can't escape the gnawing of their past reputation no matter what. Jamison Williams should be a game changer. Should be, because he's only changing the game by trying to gamble on them in other leagues. I like what the Lions are doing, and I hope they can finally make it back. If only so I can stop relying on stale crutches with them. As Brett Favre left for the Jets, Aaron Rodgers follows the well-traveled path. Holding the team hostage failed to bring about any sort of significant progress to the franchise, and they have to figure out what the hell they have in Jordan Love. How he's doing depends on who you ask. Packers fans, be it by cope or cause, believe in the connection between him and Christian Watson, like Aaron and Davante and Brett and Sterling before them. Chemistry is taking place in the Green Bay lab. Hopefully it doesn't explode like Quay Walker did last year. The Packers are a wild card. They still have the pieces to make a run, but there are more holes and questions that need to be answered than in previous years. The rest of the NFC North would love to see Green Bay squirm like they did in the 80s. But knowing our luck, Love probably keeps the generational QB chain rolling. What can I say? The gods love reruns. Like the Bears of the past few years, the Vikings are purging their old stalwarts in favor of the youth. Think the likes of Eric Kendricks, Adam Thielen, and recently Dalvin Cook, who apparently is no longer good enough after having a supposedly down year. Danielle Hunter may be next if he keeps threatening to hold out. He chose not to, however, so he stays like Harrison Smith. Minnesota looks to the future, and that's in Justin Jefferson, who will be looking to get position-changing money soon. Probably significantly so if TJ Hawkinson's seismic extension is anything to go by. It's also in Jordan Addison, who's so eager to speed down the line he'll go 140 and a 50. But who's going to be throwing to them in the future? You can always do worse than Kirk Cousins, but does Minnesota think they can do better? The Vikings have always felt like underachievers until this past season. Even then, they got insanely lucky. Is regression the name of the game? Or will the defense finally manage to stop something without Donatel holding them back? Worst case scenario to their year? The equivalent of a check down on a 4th and 9. If this team had any sort of clutch gene last year, they would have hosted a home playoff game. Their asses would have been thoroughly kicked, but with how bad the division was last year, it would have been better than Tampa Bay being shit. To properly shed old labels, you have to wash away everything. And I mean everything. The defense has been reforged with a plethora of free agents and hired guns. The offensive line stronger than ever. Bijan Robinson brought in to add another great weapon to the running game. But we all know what'll make or break the Falcons this year. Desmond Ridder. The Falcons really like him, but can their affections convert to on-field success? It's a tough answer at the quarterback position. I'm surprisingly bullish on Atlanta this year, which is probably the kiss of death for them. Sorry boys, prepare for more agonizing last-second losses. The rule of law has been overthrown by the Fourth Reich. And the only way to do that is with patience and precision. Bryce Young is the future of the franchise, and he's being thrown into the fire for maximum exposure. They threw a lot at Chicago to get him. Hopefully he'll become what they've been missing since Super Cam. It's a year of development, there's no denying that reality. There have to be strides taken, but it's not at a critical juncture just yet. Nurture Bryce into the system and don't put too much on his plate just yet. A lot of teams tend to make that mistake. It's too early to tell with them. Time will tell if Carolina has made the right choices or not. There were a lot of expectations for these boys this time around. Like it or not, the NFC South is ridiculously weak on paper. Young and inexperienced or old and decrepit. Then there's New Orleans. When in doubt, keep believing that you can push with an investment in Derek Carr. Andy Dalton's performance last year, child's play. Carr will drive them back to glory. If this team doesn't get wrecked by injury. It's ended them the past few seasons. And considering they're an aged unit, those chances aren't going to drop anytime soon. It's a team of ifs. If they can stay healthy. If Michael Thomas can return to form. If Carr can mesh with the offense. If Dennis Allen can do anything resembling competent coaching, then they can thrive. First challenge? No Alvin Kamara for the first 3 games. The wheel of discipline was honestly lenient with him. Battle of the century is on our doorstep. Baker Mayfield versus Kyle Trask. The privilege of winning 6 games on the year or winning 7 of them. It ain't Brady and it might not even be famous Jameis, but Baker won the battle all but by default. He did well, but what about the Bucs themselves? Last year they were a complete mess, and are all but picking up the pieces after several all-in pushes. Shards of that greatness are still here, but they're either broken down shells of themselves or a Mike Evans sitting here wondering what he has to do to win again. I don't think it's gonna happen with Todd Bowles as your head coach, just a hunch. It's the same question as New Orleans. Can they stay healthy? Now for your regularly scheduled ailments. Russell Gage out for the year and Ryan Jensen facing what is probably the end of his career. What a damn shame, he was so good as a center. Dust off the old Abrams, Arizona! The predictable failure of Kingsbury and Keim has forced their hand. And even then it's led to some embarrassing revelations. Nuke Hopkins was supposed to be traded, but nobody wanted to take on his cap for a first or second rounder. So he was unceremoniously cut with over $22 million worth of dead cap. It might be a better outcome than with former first rounder Isaiah Simmons. Traded to the Giants for a 7th. Brutal. It only goes lower. Buda Baker still wants out of here, and Kyler might be out for a while this season. But there's no starter under center for week 1 announced for the sake of competitive advantage. Choosing between Clayton Tune or recently acquired Josh Dobbs. Do you want to die or do you want to die? What a difference a year makes, eh? Last year was supposed to be a title defense. However, everyone died. Quite literally, in fact, every star they had went on IR. Matthew Stafford, in a great surprise, hasn't retired despite his litany of ailments. It's very brave, but is it wise? It's gotten so awkward with the new faces that his wife's saying he's having trouble relating to the kids. If it's that bad with him, what about Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald? Kupp's still injured and Donald's already got 1 foot out the door to retirement. McVay's about there with him. And his lack of interest in a rebuild is very apparent. Considering how bad that O-line was last year, it's gonna mean a lot of pain this season. At least that stadium's nice while they keep fucking them picks. It'll be a brief respite, they don't want to stay bad for long. For a team that's made a shitload of draft mistakes under Shanahan and Lynch, they've gotten insanely lucky in a lot of aspects. Mainly in Brock Purdy, who didn't need Tommy John and will be the starter. As long as his elbow holds up. After him is Sam Darnold on a redemption arc. What do you say? Who the hell is Trey Lance? No such person exists on the 49ers, you know this. He was merely a figment of all our imaginations. They certainly didn't trade 3 firsts for the privilege to trade him for pennies on the dollar to Dallas. If he wasn't in the plans, then why were you blowing smoke up our asses about how well he was doing in camp? This kind of terrible outcome gets entire regimes fired. The worst part is that Lance didn't get much of a chance here. He was injured before he could. Another one bites the dust. I'd say that's the worst situation for San Fran, but there's a Nick Bosa holdout that's of much more pressing importance. Things aren't looking good on that front. If he isn't around, the defense suffers. Period. Here's the kicker. They don't have a consistent one. Robbie Gould is still a free agent, just saying. Imagine saying that Geno Smith was the future of a franchise a year ago. That would have gotten you killed in many NFL circles. Little did we know that Geno would undergo his own Rich Gannon arc and commandeer the reins of one of the biggest surprises in football. Seattle pulled one massive Uno reverse card on us. No, we're not the ones that are gonna go to shit and lose our luster as a franchise. That's going to be Denver. This year there won't be the element of surprise to their advantage. Instead, they'll have to blow past opponents with skill. A 2-headed monster at running back, Jackson Smith and Jigba introduced it wide out the works. And Bobby Wagner's back where he belongs. manning the defense. If the O-line and front seven develop as expected, they should be a force to be reckoned with. If they don't, well, the division isn't all that strong, so the floor's pretty high. At minimum. This is the weakest NFC as a whole I've seen in a long time. We've gone from Rodgers, Breeze, Brady, and more to Jalen Hurts and maybe some other things. This is going to lead to some wonky results, I know it. First off, I believe there's a repeat winner in the NFC East. Philly takes it thanks to their offense. Sorry, Dallas. The NFC North, I'm going to kill myself in the future for it, but I'm picking Detroit. I think the Lions do it this year. Think that's crazy? I have Atlanta winning the NFC South. The only other serious contender here is New Orleans, and I don't trust them to stay healthy. NFC West, all things considered, is Seattle's to lose. This could change if Bosa plays and Purdy stays healthy, so I have them in a wildcard spot. The other two slots go to Dallas and Minnesota. As I said though, the final spots are anyone's guess. And that's the majesty of the game itself. Enough talk. Let's get to the football.
5:14, good. Everybody in? Okay, good. Welcome back. Good to see everybody's faces. Who drove over here? Let me see your hands. Who took the bus? Did you have fire in your gut?